and we'll start with our prayer. Our Father who is in heaven, Father, we want to thank you for this time. We want to thank you for the work. We want to thank you for the gift of life. We pray that, Father, Holy Spirit, let the Holy Spirit guide us. Let the Holy Spirit lead us. Let the Holy Spirit speak to us. Let the Holy Spirit teach us in this season. Father, we thank you. We glorify your name. And we pray that you be with us in all times. All this we pray through the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. So today we are starting from the chapter 11, the book of Genesis. Genesis 11 to 20. It starts the Tower of Babel. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name of ourselves. Otherwise, we will scatter over the face of the whole earth." Chapter 5, verse 5. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. The people who were building. The Lord said, "If, as one people, speak the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Verse 10. From Shem to Abraham. This is the account of Shem's family line. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Aphax. And after they became the father of Aphax, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Aphax had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Aphax lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became 403 years and lived 34 years. He became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Seru. And after he became the father of Seru, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Seruk had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Seruk lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor was old, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. So, Abraham's family starts. This is the account of Terah. Terah became the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran, and Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran lived in Ur of the Chaldees, in the land of Abraham's wife. In the land of his birth, Abraham and Nahor both married. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abraham, his and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abraham, and together they set out from Ur and the Chaldeans to go to Ghana. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years and he died. The call of Abraham. That's chapter 12 now. The Lord had said to Abraham, go from and your father's household. And Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abraham traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abraham and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he went on towards the hills east of Bethel, and pitched his tent. He pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai in the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called the name of the Lord. Then Abraham set out and continued towards the Negev. Now Abraham in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, This is his wife. Then they will kill me, but will let you live. So you are my sister, so that I will be treated well. I will be treated well for your sake, and my wife will be spared because of you. When Abraham came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they raised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken in his palace. He treated Abraham well for her sake, and Abraham acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abraham's wife Sarai. So Pharaoh summoned Abraham. What have you done to me? He said, why don't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her to be my wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abraham to his slaves, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. Chapter 13. Abraham and Lot separate. So Abram went up from Egypt to Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abraham had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier, and where he had first built an altar. There Abraham called for the name of the Lord. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abraham, also had flocks and herds and tents. But the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's Hethers and Lutz. The Canaanites had Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. So Abraham said to Lot, let us not have any quarrel between you and me, or between your Hethers and mine, for we are close relatives. So in these close relatives, is not the whole land before you? Let us part company. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left. Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan towards Saul was well watered, and like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before himself. This was before the Lord destroyed land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east. The two men parted company. Abraham lived on the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked. Look around from where you are, to the north and to the south. And the south, the east and west, all the land that you see, I will give it to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring, I will give it to you. So Abraham went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents, and then he built an altar to the Lord. Chapter 14, Abraham rescues Lot. At that time, when Amphel was king of Shinar, a rich king of Elasa, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Titol, king of Goyim. These kings went to war against Pera, king of Sodom, Pirasha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shimba, king of Seboim, and the king of Bela, that is Saul. All these later kings joined force in the valley of Siddim, that is the Dead Sea Valley. For 12 years they had been subject to Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him went out and defeated the Rephaites in Astro, Caniam, the Susites and Susites in Ham, the Emites in Shapha, Kirishites, and the Horites in the hill country of Seir, as far as Elipar, near the desert. Then they turned back and went to En-Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and they conquered the whole territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who were living in Hazezon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Seboim, and the king of Bela, that is in Sor, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim. against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Thetal, king of Caim, Amphel, king of Shinar, and Antroi, king of Elisha, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah was filled, some of them fell into five. Now a valley of Siddim, Elisha, king of kings, was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah was full of, and all their foods, then they went away. They also carried off Abraham's nephews, Lot, and possessions, since he was living in Sodom. A man who had escaped came and reported this to Abraham, the Hebrew. Now Abraham was living near the great trees of Mara, the Amorites, brother of Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Anna, all of whom were allied with Abraham. When Abraham heard that his relative had been taken captive, he called out the 318 born in his household and went to pursue as far as Dan. And during this night, Abraham divided his men to attack them and routed them, pursuing them as far as Hebron, north of Damascus, and he recovered all the goods and brought back his relative Lot and possessions together with the women and other people. After Abraham returned from defeating Odomero and the kings allied up with him, the king of Sodom came out too in the valley of Shif. That is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abraham by God, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." Then Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abraham, "Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself." But Abraham said to the king of Sodom, "Why with raised hand I have sworn an oath to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or a strap of a sandal, so that you will never be able to say, 'I made Abraham rich.' I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten, and the share that the men who went with me to Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them have their share. The Lord's covenant with Abraham, that is chapter 15. After this, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield, your every great reward. But Abraham said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me, since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estates is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abraham said, You have given me no child, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him. This man will not be your heir, but soon this man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood. Will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up, count the stars, if indeed you cannot count them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. Abraham believed the Lord, that I will gain possessions of it. So the Lord said to him, Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abraham brought all this to him, cut them into two, arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. Then birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abraham drove them away. As the sun was setting, Abraham fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in the country, not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nations they serve as slaves, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the first generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoke firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. And that day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham and said, To your descendants I give this land, from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kezites, the Kadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephites, Amorites, Canaanites, and Graphites and Jebusites. Chapter 16. Hagar and Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, had been born. He had born him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abraham agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abraham had been living in Ghana 10 years, Sarah, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarah said to Abraham, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me. Your slave is in your hands." Abraham said, "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road of Shur, the road to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" "I am running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your descendants to so much that they will be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man, and his name and his hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in." She gave his name to the Lord, who spoke to her, "You are the God who sent me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Beer Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abraham a son, and Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Chapter 17. The covenant of circumcision. When Abraham was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am Almighty God. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. When I will make my covenant between me and you, and will greatly increase your numbers. Abraham fell face down, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abraham. Your name will not be Abraham. It will be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you, for the great generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants for you. The whole land of Ghana, where you now reside as a foreigner, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their father. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, for this is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or brought with you money from a foreigner. Those who are not your offspring, whether born in your household or brought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who was not been circumcised in flesh will be cut off from his people and has broken my covenant. God of nations, kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, What will a son be born to a man? Laughed. Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ismail might live under your blessings. Then God said, Yes, but your wife Sarah bear a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as far as Ismail, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers, and he will be
the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation, But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time. By this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ismail and all his horn in his household, and brought with his money every male in his household, and circumcised them all, as God had told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ismail was 13 years old. Abraham and his son Ismail were both circumcised on that very day. And every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or brought from a foreign, was all circumcised with him. 18. The three feasters. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, if I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought and not bypass my servant. Then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant, go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant, very well, they answered, do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the head and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set those before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Where is your wife, Sarah? They asked him. So, where is your wife? They asked him. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this. to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, and as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure really? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. Abraham pleads for Sodom. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. So that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is gracious, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare? The place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it. For be it from you not to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous with the wicked along. For if from you will not the judgment of all the earth do right? The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke and said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for 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 lack of 5 people? If I find 50, if I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again, he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let him speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord be hungry. May the Lord not be hungry, but let him speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of the 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left. Abraham returned home. 19. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up, met them, and bowed down his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please return aside to your servants' households. You can wash your feet and spend a night, and then go on your way early morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did not go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him. He said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." Get out of your way," they replied. These people came as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. "We will treat you worse than them." They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-law, and daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place." The outcry of the Lord against its people is great. That is, that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, his daughters-in-law, who were married, and he said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your children and your daughters who are here. You will be swept away when the city is punished." When he insisted, the man grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his two daughters, and of the hands of his wife, his two daughters, and led them safely out of the city. For the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they have just brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zoro. By that time, Lot reached Zoro. The sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plains, destroying all those lying in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He took down he took down Sodom and Gomorrah towards all the land of the plain, and he said, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from the furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. Then he started. Lot and his two daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his two daughters lived in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger one, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children. As is the custom all over the earth, let us get our father a drink, wine, and then sleep with him, and pressure out family lines through our father." That night, they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went into and slept with her father. He was not aware of it. And when she lay down, when she got up, the next day, the older daughter said to the younger one, "Last night I slept with my father. Let us get him to drink wine again tonight, and you will go in and sleep with him, so we can preserve him and slept with him again." He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of the Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of Moabites today, up to today. The younger daughter also had a son and named him Ben-Ami, and he is the father of the Ammonites of today. Chapter 20. Abraham and Abimelech. Now Abraham moved up from there into a region of the Negev and lived in between Kadesh and Shur. For while he stayed in Gerar, and there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, she is my sister, and didn't she say also say, he is my brother? She is my sister, and she is my brother." Then God said to him, Then I have I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands. Then God said to him in that dream, yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die. Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all his officials, and when he told them all that had happened to him, they were very much afraid. And then Abimelech called Abraham and said, what have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such should never be done for doing this? Abraham replied, I said to myself, there is surely no great fear of there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister and the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, this is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother. Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle and male and female sheep and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, my land is before you. Live wherever you like. To Sarah he said, I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offenses against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated. Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his family, and his female slaves. They could have children. They could have children again. For the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelech's household from conceiving because of Abraham's wife Sarai. May the Lord be blessed.